You're going to find your pad in your pad.
In my pad. Look, I got my pad right here.
Oh, awesome.
This is a Reflex. I don't know where I got it, but yeah. And I started, I'm going to go over to my drum set for a second.
All right.
I don't want to make too much noise, but if you have a snare drum or any drum pad right on it, these things, they're just basically different degrees of hard rubber. Easiest thing to do. And obviously they don't make noise. And they're just great to practice on, just to practice sticking any kind of rudiments once you get into that. And it's you know, a lot of people use pillows and hey, whatever you got. But if you can get a pad that's relatively cheap and you can, you know, practice that. And backstage before we play, often I warm up on them because the drums are loud. So it's like do all that stuff to get your hands warmed up. And here's some, what do you know? Look, I have a Funkabrasta. In Japan, it's not nice to say that.
Funk Blaster, I love it though. Great stick. So the pad is a great place to start. And
it's a great, you know, works for me, whatever works. But again, like you're saying, David, I think find the sticks to feel comfortable and then, you know, you're on to your next thing.
And so you get the pad. We have some exercises here as an example of just like, well, what do I do with the sticks now? Well, you know, I think that these exercises, which in drum terms are called single stroke rolls and double stroke rolls, they basically just mean a single stroke is alternating hands and a double stroke is two on each hand. This is a great place to start, right? Because it's all about the music, but you've got to develop some mechanics to, you know, to be able to play the music.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's important, you know, to have that vocabulary. It's like speaking. You have to have the words to be able to communicate. And so that thing that you just had is about the simplest form. But again, it's playing in time. It's just alternating sticks and let this stick do the work. Don't do that.
Right.
Let this bounce, the bounce of the stick. So just go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And what's really important is to try to keep it at an even tempo. So people, you want to kind of like 1, 2, 3. A metronome is good if you have it, but try to just keep it at an even tempo. And then to go to what you were saying, David, once you got that, you can go, and if you can do 2 in a row, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And those 2 things are really the basics you can use all around the drum set, on the snare drum. That's what makes it happen. That's the simplest thing, but really important.
So I want to talk about 2 things and then Chad, get you over to the drum set. Because that's where everybody really...
My kids are having lunch now.
Pardon?
My kids are about ready to have lunch now. So, yeah, I'll get over there.
Okay, cool. So, good timing. So, we got the exercises on the pad. Alternating hands, right, left, right, left. Right, right, left, left. Forms the basis of virtually everything that's played on the kit. And, of course, another thing for people to try is after you practice out on the pad, listen to records, listen to music, and you learn by doing. We're going to give you some books that you should check out and some online resources to get formal education, but there's nothing like playing. Is there, Chad?
Oh, that's how I learned. I put headphones on and played to records. I loved it. I wanted to be in Led Zeppelin. I wanted to be in Rush. I wanted to, you know, when you get to a certain point where you can play in that style of music, it's great. It's awesome. I would highly recommend playing to music and playing to the music that you love or whatever kind of music, because then it's almost like you're trying to emulate the style of the band and the music. You're trying to play like John Bonham, trying to play like Keith Moon or Ringo Starr or Danny Carey or Stuart Copeland or Taylor Hawkins, any of those great drummers. If you play along with those records and you can actually play along with them, it's awesome. So fun. I still do it. Swear to God. Great.
Well, it's underrated. That's the thing. It's like there's so many resources available that people almost get confused by the amount of choices, which is why this webinar today is so important, because we're just giving you the meat on the bone. Like, you follow this and you.
So it'll be like I'll say, and this is all in the drum channel, Chad's basic rock beat thing, but I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. But we'll start. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I say 1 and 2 and, that means I'm doing 8 notes, and it's all 1 and 1 E and these are all things that go in between the beats, and those are different notations. They're quarter notes, 8th notes, 16th notes, and it's math basically. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right? Just get that going. Just do that with your right hand, nothing else. Make that solid. So you keep the same tempo. Don't speed up. Don't slow down. Try to keep that going. Right? And then I'm going to add the kick drum on 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that for a while. Make sure together. 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and 2. Okay? Once you get that, you feel good with that, you put the snare in on the 2 and the 4. Ready?
Chad, let me ask you one thing. There's a believe it or not, there's a Zoom setting we have to change that cancels out the sound. So on your computer, go up to the menu for preferences and click on audio.
Wait, what do I do?
You go to Zoom and click up in the upper left on the menu where you see preferences.
Okay, I'm going to take Zoom US.
Yep.
Preferences, got it.
Audio.
Yeah.
Advanced in the bottom right corner.
Yep.
And then and then audio processing, disable the first 2.
Speaker output. Wait, let me see.
Click on audio on the left.
Okay.
Now disable those 2 in the menu.
Wait, disable what 2? Speaker and microphone?
No. Click on audio. There's a whole list of things on the left.
Join audio, mute microphone.
No, under general. Keep going down.
Yeah.
Click on the audio icon.
Okay, I did.
Now, okay, in the bottom right, click on advanced.
Okay.
Now, do you see suppress persistent background noise?
Yes.
Disable that and disable intermittent, the 2 top ones.
Okay.
And then close it, and the world will now hear that drum groove the way you intended.
Okay. Okay. Look at this. Let's try it again.
Let's do it. Thank you, everybody, for understanding.
Working. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So 1. I'm gonna put the snare in on a 2 and 4. Ready? 1, Okay, if you could do that for a while, you're good. Now, for that beat I was talking about that I've been making a living off of for 30 years, this is the only tricky part because it's not on the 3. The kick drum is 1, 2, 3. It's on the and of 3. 3 and 4. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2. And faster and slower and with a little bit of variation, that beat, you'll get a gig.
So
Now,
literally that beat with the 3 and downbeat still hitting hard on 2 and 4, 8s on the hats. That's the beat behind all those iconic songs you mentioned?
yeah. I'll play a little, I'll give you a little. So Californication, with again, has some ghost notes, but it's been a while since I played that one. Let me see how it goes. That's Californication. Scar Tissue. Tissue with a little bit of swing. Oh no, that has a little to it, but it's still. Other side. How long? Can't stop. Same shit.
Well, you know, Chad makes it sound and look so easy. The fact is, if there's one thing to think about, and even from day one for drummers, and I know this isn't really beginner, but I want to just put it into the minds of every drummer, even at day one beginning. If you hear the hi-hat, yes, it's playing 1 and 2 and 3 to the pulse, but there's a dynamic to it that has so much to do with how hard you groove.
I mean, the hi-hat is a beautiful instrument on its own. And there's so much personality in the hi-hat. Think of somebody like Stuart Copeland, the drummer for the Police, and all he has to play is the hi-hat. And you know it's him, the way that he plays it, because there's so many elements. There's the foot part of it, how hard you all that. And there's so many different ways to play it on the side, on the top. Again, of course, the dynamics of it, but the hi-hat, it really is a big personality on the drum set for sure. Yeah,
and has such a lot to do.
And, I mean,
right, with the open close stuff. Right.
The pea soup, I like to call it. I mean, one of my favorite Chili Pepper beats from the title track from Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
I love that though, man. It's in fact,
you're right. The hi-hat, but that takes some time to really feel comfortable to get the nuances of that for sure. But if you just want to use at the beginning as just something to keep time on, I would say most of the time in rock music, I'm playing with the shoulder of the stick on the side, not on the top. You can do that, but has a kind of a chunkier, heavier, more cutting sound. So versus and you can hear that. So whatever works, but more importantly, I think is that you're having consistency. The snare is landing in the same spot at the same time. The kick drums, those are the things, the coordination things, a little bit of this. It's tough. It ain't easy. And I'll teach people and they'll look and they'll go, oh, I can do that Back in Black beat, no problem, right? But then they're like, it's like, no, you have to alternate. And once you figure out that your hands and your feet can do separate things, you're like, whoa! It's the greatest feeling in the world because that opens up the door to everything. Granted, you want it after a while. You have to add in syncopation, which is that first beat that I did is actually syncopated to 3 and. But you can play AC/DC. A lot of AC/DC songs are just 1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's great practice because that's
right.
Like you said, it's not easy.
It's not. No, it's not. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I mean, it's just so fun. Again, you're talking about playing to records. Once you can get that beat, put on Back in Black.
Yeah, that's an iconic classic rock record to learn drums, no question. So we're going to take it to the basics for a second because we're using terms that a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't. So very basic, very quickly, we have a drum kit. We're going to just start with what we talked about. After you graduate from a practice pad, you get a snare drum. Now, I know this seems completely, Chad did not know I have this slide. I did this entirely on my own. Let's be very clear. This is my view of how I want to present the brilliant things Chad's done. He would never suggest that we put his own snare drum up there. But honestly, the snare drum's under $300, and he uses it on tour. And I have played one, and it sounds phenomenal. So this is a great place to start. If it were $1,000, as great as it might sound, I wouldn't have chosen it applicable for a beginning drum lesson. But for a couple $100 for that nice of a snare, this is, you need a snare drum as part of your drum kit. A lot of people start with a snare drum before they get the rest of the drums, which we'll get to in a second. So this snare drum, Chad, how'd you come up with this, and why does it sound so freaking good?
I appreciate you saying that I'm not like making the blatant plug to buy my stuff. In this.
No, not in the least. Not at all.
I appreciate that.
Because it's acrylic.
I know.
And it
it's all good.
Loud.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, the people from DW are so great and so helpful. And with my touring kit, I love to have, just like you said, those acrylic drums are bright and loud and so fun to play. Most people probably associate that going back to drummers like John Bonham had his Amber kit that was so iconic back in the 70s. But there were, a lot of drummers before, and Billy Cobham and a lot of different players that played those drums. And they're really fun to play. And again, they have a lot of volume. And when it comes to playing in big places, and I like to have the brightness and the volume. And so that snare drum, it cracks, and it's really fun to play. And they were just so nice, like, yeah, we'll help you develop that and make something that you like. And then if you like it, hopefully other people will. And I've been playing it I played it on the whole last Getaway tour, and I'm still using it today. So it's, and again, it's not an expensive fancy drum. It's just well made and sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely. And every drum kit needs a snare drum. So, whether, when we first start out, and this is again for beginners, you don't really know the difference between wood and metal and acrylic and these different things. So you got to start somewhere. So I thought, okay, well, if we're going to suggest something, let's start somewhere I know is affordable and sounds great. After you have a snare drum, then you need an actual drum set. You were just playing a 4-piece kit. You know, I know most people have some idea of what this is all about, but let's just say we got a bass drum, we got a snare drum. The bass drum is the big drum that you play with your foot, of course. The snare drum, we got rack toms, which are the mounted toms that are right in front of the drummer, the floor toms over to the side, and the cymbals, crash cymbal, ride cymbal, hi-hat, which Chad talked all about, and the accessories you see on the side of the screen. Because a lot of people, when they're buying a drum set, don't realize they need a pedal and a stand and all these other things, and it takes them 3 trips to the music store before they actually have a full kit. But the interesting thing is, pardon?
I said, and all those other things. That's the, you know, the cool, David, it's like a drum set. You could, like with a guitar, it's just one thing, or a piano or a violin. The drum set, we're talking about a basic drum set, which is great, which, like I said, basically all you need were 3 pieces, but like a drum set. So that's all those pieces, but you know, it's never ending.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And that's the, you know.
I have a drum museum.
Oh, but you know all about it.
You think
it's personalized. People find what they need to hear for the, you know, the musical possibilities that they need for the music they want to play. Some people, it's just really, I only need 3 or 4 pieces. Other people, if you're Neil Peart or Terry Bozzio, to be able to express yourself the way you want, you need more stuff. I get it, but for a beginning drummer, to just to be able to play along to records like we talked about, and to make some, to have some possibility of sounds, you only need 4 pieces.
Yeah, it's so true. And you were just playing a 4-piece kit, right?
And I have other stuff over here and a couple other things over here, but my touring kit, but the main thing, and you know what, I make records, and mostly I have a 4 or 5 piece drum set. That's what I use. That's what I use on almost most of the stuff that I do. I mean, it's been that way since the beginning, you know. I mean, Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich and drummers like that. Buddy Rich may be considered the greatest drummer of all time. I think his second floor tom he used is like his towel and rack holder.
That's exactly right.
He used
4 pieces.
1, 2, 3, 1 ride, 2 cymbals, hi-hat. Unbelievable.
And it's endless.
Endless. It's what you do on it. It's what you do. So I know it's popular to have a lot of stuff, but don't be intimidated by that. And as a drummer, you know, to learn how to play, you can play for a zillion years on just a small drum set.
Yep, absolutely right. And very, very wise and very 100% correct. And I love the advice.
That one right there. That's
Pardon?
it. That's all you need.
No,
we're looking at.
That's the thing. Well, we're looking right now at how to quiet a drum set, because especially nowadays, a lot of people just go in electronic drum kits, but a lot of guys starting out, they might not really want to start on hitting electronic pads. They want real drums. So you have the DW Deadhead pads, and they're made to essentially quiet cymbals and drums so you can play a real drum kit, just like the one you were playing, without driving everybody crazy. Now, when we graduate from playing the records and playing to AC/DC and learning grooves and right, left, the next thing we got to do is, I would suggest, before we get online, because I'm a big advocate of online, we weren't just talking about your rock drumming course just to talk about it. I mean, it's extremely, extremely valuable for people to have as a resource that's never been available before. But books are also important. So I'm going to talk about 2 real quick. Fundamental for drumming for kids, uses terms like soft and loud, keeps it very, very simple, but really brilliant. And of course, an oldie but goodie, a little more advanced.
Look at the hair.
I know this is a little bit of a rib, but I love it though. I mean, really, I talk about the online stuff, because the fact is that what we can do right now online, you have your rock drumming for beginners, online course that you're doing for Drum Channel. And there's a lot of great content up there, Drum Channel. Next week is Chad Smith Week. Tell us about, what can people, what should they be expecting and looking for when they go up to Drum Channel and they search out your classes? What are you giving them the inside track on?
That's a good question, because first of all, Drum Channel has tons and tons of instructional stuff from some of the greatest drummers in the world. Somehow I squeaked in there, but it's tons of entertainment, but there's also excellent instruction. And something that I really didn't have growing up, we had books. We didn't have videos and the stuff that and now, YouTube and everything, but like Drum Channel is a place where you have everything, one place, one stop shop. It's amazing. So my basic rock beats, I think it's called Rock Beats Chad's Way, for a lack of a better name, but it really starts from like kind of what we were doing from the beginning of, holding the sticks, and then how to just do what we were doing, just getting comfortable playing a little bit on the snare drum. And then we go to the drum set, and it really is playing a very, very basic beat, a basic rock beat. And it starts just playing the hi-hat, adding the snare drum on the 2 and 4, adding the kick drum on the 1 and 3. So you're going 1, 2. I'm not even going 1 and. It's 1 quarter notes. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
It's Back in Black.
Yeah, that's it. And it progressively, as we go through, and the great thing about it, you can stop it, you can go back, you can rewind. There's great angles of the feet, of the hands, overhead. And it progresses pretty slowly, but you can do it at your own speed, to where I gradually add little things, variations, again, 8th notes on the hi-hat, variations of kick drum patterns. I think the snare drum pretty much stays on the 2 and 4, if I remember. And then once you feel comfortable with that, I start to do very easy fills, which are going around different parts of the drum set to the toms, again, and crashing on the 1, just basic song stuff that you need to do if you want to play songs. But at the beginning, it's really simple, and hopefully it's fun and a good way for people to get introduced into playing the drum set.
I think it's absolutely awesome. And everyone, just think about it. You have really private drum lessons at your own pace and speed in your own home with no pressure or no one watching, directly from Chad Smith, and learning rock drumming. And it's online 24/7.
Kind of good.
I love it. So before we get to questions and answers, which is like blowing this up because that's all everybody's been like chomping at the bit for.
Don't ask dumb questions.
Well, our producer Taylor is
right, Taylor's on it.
So yeah, Mr. Whipple, you better not have any dumb questions come through. But before,
no dumb questions.
Will Ferrell really got good.
I want to make one announcement, though. At the beginning, I mentioned we're going to have a Modern Drummer surprise announcement of Chad Smith. And in fact, we do. And that is, let me do my screen share. So Chad is our October 2020 cover of Modern Drummer. All he's been up to, from Ozzy to the Chili Peppers to Drum Channel and everything in between. So congratulations, Chad. You've been on the cover lots of times before. You here are like our top cover guys of all time, which says so much to the influence you've had on millions of people. So congratulations on that. We're so excited to see you again.
That is such an honor. I've been reading Modern Drummer since day one, and it was so great to Steve Gadd, Buddy Rich, and John, and a magazine for drummers. Like You gotta remember, this is in the early 80s, right? When was the first one? 80 what, you know?
77.
Oh my God! That's the latest and greatest. I got that one.
But
And like, man, it's really cool. I'm stoked. So thank you so much. I'm honored.
well, the honor is all ours. Our readers are so excited for you to be on the cover again. And you always do some, I don't want to put any more pressure on you, but you've done some really iconic things on the cover. I think we're going to have a good idea
for the cover. I got one. I don't think it's been done. I did, my first cover was in black and white, and I kind of dressed up like Gene Krupa. And the people at Modern Drummer, I think Rick Van Horn at the time was like, well, we can't do that because it doesn't really look like you, and black and white doesn't sell. And another time I tried to do some other wacky stuff, and then, you know, but we're entertainers. Hey,
it's going to be awesome. It's
Yeah,
going to
man.
be really awesome. So, Mr. Whipple, that's really his name, by the way. Mr. Whipple, hit us with the gazillion questions we've got. Chad, Mr. Whipple, take it
All
away.
right. Number of questions here. We'll get to as many as we can. First question is from Tino. Tino asks, how important is posture when practicing?
Posture is important whenever you're playing. It helps you. First of all, you want to be comfortable at the drum set. And for me, and this is just for me, and I don't know if this is right or not, I probably have some bad habits through the years, but I sit so my legs on the drum set, and I'm pretty tall when I'm standing up. They help me, I didn't do good in math. Is it when your legs are this way, is that 45 degrees, 90 degrees?
90.
Thank you. Times 2. So if your legs are at 90 degrees, to me, that's a comfortable position to be at the drum set. And then sitting in a way that I'll try it real quick. I'm not going to play too much. But so I'm sitting at my seat, right? And my leg, when I have my feet on the pedal, they're not up here, they're not down here. Some guys, Ringo would sit up like this, super high, because he wanted to be seen like the other guy. But 90 works for me. And I don't often do it, but their posture is important because breathing is so important. And I used to play like, and some guys do that. You just get into it and it just happens. But in general, to be able to have your core, not stiff, but so you're relaxed. Hey, it's loud in here. But yeah, sitting upright in a comfortable way, it's really for breathing. And that's the most important thing to me for posture is that the breathing part. And if you're relaxed and you're breathing, you're going to play better. You're going to do everything better when you're relaxed. And so posture helps you be relaxed. A good
Awesome. Awesome. All right. What's next, Taylor?
Next question. Tony asks, Chad, how do you approach learning new material? And do you have any recommendations for a beginner?
I missed the end of it. New material and what?
Any recommendations for a beginner who's trying to learn new material?
Well, for me, new material, that would be me working with someone on songs, writing songs or playing to new songs. And often for me, it's really just going with like your gut feeling at first, how that music feels to you and affects you, and what you think is the kind of and it basically like an instinct of the groove. Is it halftime? Is it, like the kind of the timing of it? Unless someone has a specific idea here, I think this should be like this. But if you're coming up on your own, I think often listen to the music and how does it move? How does it make you move? How does it make you feel? Like really aggressive? Is it more laid back? And then you can approach how you want to do that feeling to the drums. So
Let's take the Aussie record for this. You
Yeah.
just did it this year.
Yep.
How did you approach? 'Cause I know you guys, I heard that you did it in like a couple of days or something.
Yeah, that was really special because we got together, myself and Andrew Watt, who's a guitar player and also a producer and a writer, and Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses, the bass player, and the three of us just got in a room knowing we were going to try and write songs for Ozzy. So we had that vision of it. And I think that helped the direction. Like, what is our favorite stuff? Like I love when there's stops in the song, like in War Pigs, and Ozzy sings in the holes, and that's really exciting. And certain things that we felt as a fan, I would want to hear. So we're trying to like kind of steer it that way. But at the same time, it was just everybody in the room who's got an idea, who's got a riff, and they would sit there, Andrew and Duff, and I would listen to what they were playing, and then I would come up with I think this is a beat or a groove that would work for that. And that's kind of what I did very quickly. And often that comes across in a recording, is that excitement of the first kind of spontaneity of it. And if you can capture that, it really connects with people. And we did all those songs performance-based. They weren't chopped up or anything. It was playing all the way through. And it was just really exciting. So hopefully that came through it. But I'm just trying to make it swing. You know, David, those English drummers some of that I spoke about that influenced me growing up, and a drummer like Bill Ward from Black Sabbath, he was playing like jazzy stuff behind the heaviest music ever. And I wanted, most importantly, to make the Ozzy songs have a good swing to it.
And it worked. It's funny. Like I'm hearing you talk about it, and just like channeling your inner Ozzy, just really getting into that moment, because no matter how inspired you are by what he's done, it's still going to come out like Chad Smith. And then that's the brilliance in it. It's this, accumulation.
Yeah. I mean, the other guys, everybody was just at the top of bringing it, like top of their game, and it's some luck involved in timing, and I'd never recorded with Duff before. I've done lots of stuff with Andrew, but we played together and we've had a good time playing together. So I kind of knew he would be a great guy to play with, and also a writer. So that was important too. But you just never know till you get in a room with someone, and it was just a perfect storm of everything. And Ozzy had been sick for a while, for about 6 months. He had an operation on his neck. He had fallen in last January, and he really wanted to make music again. And we were like, this might be the last album he ever makes. I don't know. We just but as a kid, David, to be able to write and play an Ozzy Osbourne album, are you kidding me? Come on.
Well, and I'll tell you, everybody, I held it up a little bit while Chad was talking as a prop for it. Here's the record. It is, it's absolutely awesome. Fantastic job. You guys killed it. And thank you for that inside look. Taylor, Mr. Whipple, what do we have for Chad before we let him go? He's been extremely generous with his time today.
Absolutely. Next question asks, any helpful tips when tuning a complete drum set?
Ooh. I'm going to be very honest about tuning a drum set is not my expertise. Now, I know that it depends on the tension, the size of the drums. To me, each drum seems like it has a place, depending on the size of it, where it speaks well and sounds good. But you also want the rebound of the stick And again, everyone's different. Some people like them super tight, super high, and Tony Williams and Elvin Jones and guys like that. They want that really high, really high. So it's really tight, and that makes it a higher pitch, obviously. Some people super low. Boom, boom, boom. So it depends on what pitches you want your drums to be. But in general, for the snare drum, I crank my snare drum really high. I like a bright, and that gives it a loud sound as well. I like a really bright, high-pitched snare. I just like that. That's just what I personally like. Then with the toms, they're actually in thirds, and this is as much technical as I get. So for the 3 toms, which I have, one rack and 2 floors, it's when I say thirds, the way that I know they're in tune, I can play the song "In the Mood," which is an old Glenn Miller song. Do 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 ba ba. So boo 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 boo, and I'm sure I'm singing out of tune. But if it's close, I'm good.
It's funny that Chad's like, you're being so self-effacing, but that's as great a tuning tip as anybody can give anybody. So, and Buddy used to have his snare all cranked up, and that's how he played it.
Yeah, you play so much on the snare drum. And so if you're doing any things that are quicker in speed, to me, it actually makes it easier because, again, it's a harder surface. Your sticks are gonna respond faster off of them. And he did so many, and I do so many ghost notes or grace notes, as people call them, or as Ringo calls them, tickling. Why are you tickling the snare? That'll pronounce that better as well when it's a tighter tension as well. But yeah, my snare has always been pretty cranked. People ask me about the snare drum sound, and
that's
want to choke the drum. There's a point where it's too tight and it'll choke it and it won't speak well. So you have to there's a fine line. But again, I just enjoy a higher tuning on that.
Wow, that's great insight. And what I want to translate also for what Chad just said, everybody, is that if you listen to how he tunes, and even though, Chad, you'll describe it as, oh, well, it's not really scientific. It's as scientific as you need to get with tuning, because it sounds good if it works for your music. If you don't want to have the drums over tightened or under tightened where they're like, ding, 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 or too thuddy, but everything in between is stylistically appropriate to your playing. And thank you, though, Chad, for the insight, because we've heard your sounds so much that's basically what you do. You tune it in thirds. It's a little on the tighter, higher side, if we will, kind of overall. You have some rebound going even on the toms, and the snare's cranked up. And that's, with that information, you can chili pepper your sound until you're blue in the face, everybody. So, Mr. Whipple, what do we got?
All right, next question.
We're gonna wind it down because we've really taken. Chad's been so over generous. We're gonna take 2 quick questions, and we're over and out. Go ahead.
All right, first question. Jim asks, any advice on how to stay injury-free while practicing and performing?
Ooh, he's asking the old guy questions. No, it could be for anybody. You know what? Take care of yourself. I mean, that's a kind of an easy one. Whereas when I was a bit younger, I thought I was bulletproof, as young people tend to think. And so I would do whatever and eat whatever and stay out all night and do things that probably weren't so good for me. And then show up the next day and think, man, no problem. And that is, if you wear your body down in any way, that's when you're prone to get injuries. So mainly for the last 10 or 15 years, I've really, touring wise, and I can say more of that than practicing, because if you feel like you're hurting yourself practicing, you can just stop practicing. But when you got gigs and you're playing and you're traveling and all the things that go into that, you want to be at the top of your physical game as you can. So it's, I don't have a strict thing that I do, but it's really important, I just try to stay ahead of it. So it would be, again, taking care of yourself, getting rest, simple things that people probably know or don't know. Drink lots of water,
You have an awareness that you have to be aware of health. Because as you described earlier in your life, as most of us are growing up, you're not really thinking, everybody feels indestructible until they realize they aren't.
Exactly. And you don't want to be at the gig and all of a sudden, like what happened to me in Paris, and you're like, your arm's not really supposed to do that 500 times a night. And, in playing the drums physically the way I do it, it's not a natural motion, but you can do it if you take care of yourself and you stretch. And if you get inflammation in your elbows or your wrist where it kind of hurts, put some ice on it. Like, there's simple things that I do it after a gig. I will ice my wrists because, again, doing this thousands of times in a row, not really like what your body is made to do. When you're 57 and 58 years old, time catches up. So I will ice it afterwards for about 15 minutes just for the inflammation, because, it's in there because I've used it like that so much. And it's not because it hurts. It's because I'm preventing it. I'm doing preventive maintenance, as we call it. So, you go into the Chili Peppers dressing room after a gig, it looks like an infirmary. Anthony's got his legs in the buckets of ice, and, Flea's got this, but it's what we do so we can do what we do.
I love it. No, it's great advice. All right. Make this a good one, Mr. Whipple. No pressure.
All right. So we've gotten this from a few different people, and they asked, Chad, what are your thoughts on ear protection when you practice or perform? Do you use ear protection? Do you have any preferences, if so?
Right. Good question, because I've been doing these little Instagram things in the morning where I play these little beats and silly beats, and now I've got myself in a hole because I'm up to 34 and I don't know what's left. Well, I'm sure there's a lot, but that I can do anyway. And they're like, those drums are so loud, man. You gotta wear ear protection. And it's true. For years, I did not. And I'm going to be very honest, I have lost high end in my hearing. When you play the drums and the drums are right here and a snare drum is 2 feet away and the cymbals are right here, and you do that for 30 years, and I was old school, I had the PA behind me and a band, all the music coming in, it felt so good playing super loud. And about 10 years ago, I started to use in-ear monitors. And so they do protect your ears because they do cover your ears. And you see them a lot. It's very popular. People that use in-ear monitors, they look like little, they cover your ears, but they're also, you get the sound that you want. And you can adjust the volume to what you want. And that has really been helpful for me a lot. It's really, really helpful. But I have ringing, I have tinnitus, and I wish that I had started a lot earlier, to be very with the in-ears. The in-ears are excellent. But if obviously got to buy them, they're expensive. I would say, anything. Like I played with Mike Anthony from Van Halen in a band, and he would just take pieces of Kleenex and wad them up and put them in his ear. That cost about a penny. And anything helps. But yeah, volume, and people listen to their headphones and buds so much now. The music's not made and noise and stuff to be that close to your ear, in your ear. That's just not a natural thing. So be careful, because you won't think, okay, years go by as a young person and it doesn't bother you, but it will catch up to you.
That's awesome advice. And it's very, very important, especially with the proliferation of everyone wearing headphones now, and they get so loud so fast.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds great when it's loud. Don't get me wrong. That's a good feeling. But, you got to be smart about it because, you know, you want to be able to hear.
Do you use, I'm curious on stage, with the in-ears, do you also use wedges and side fills up near the riser, or are you strictly in-ear?
I'm strictly in-ear, but we do have monitors on the riser, more just in case something happens,
Okay.
which they will, they you know, electronics, but I'm in-ears. And you know, the other thing that's really great is having I call it the butt thumper
Yeah.
that you put under your seat. What is it? What's the official name for it?
No, I think that's about as official as I've heard it too. Honestly, I mean, it's like there's probably
I
some.
have two. I have front and back. So use your imagination. I'm getting rattled, but it's for the kick drum because when you have the in-ears, what you lose is some of that low end. And so you lose the low end of the bigger drums, and the kick drum is so important. And you have these basically like these connected speakers, woofers, to the bottom of your seat and sends the vibration up through your
Butt?
orifices.
Well, that thing's awesome because you're right. You just the physics of an in-ear, you just can't play that low, of course. But you want to feel that kick drum like you're in the sixth row, you know, and you really it goes right through your chest.
And it's awesome. I mean, I'm spoiled now. Like when we'll rehearse writing songs, I'm like, can I get my butt thumper? Because it really gives you I don't know. It's a great thing. So I love that. And then the in-ears are great, and it's such a great technology because again you can adjust the volume, but it's so great for vocals. You can hear vocals really clear now. It's great for singers, obviously, and it's just a clearer way to hear. You want to hear everybody's playing because you want to be able to play together. So I love it. Like I said, I wish I would have done it years ago, but they've gotten really good at it too. There's really, really good companies. I don't know the names of them, but they're great, and I love it.
Well, that's awesome advice, and that's a great combination of how to protect your ears, get the mix you want, but not lose the feel and the energy of that live drum sound.
Right.
And that's the key. Well, everybody, thank you for
and on the butt thumper.
Butt thumper, very, very important component to any playback rig. The butt thumper. I love it though. Well, Chad, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Congratulations on your October 2020 Modern Drummer cover, the Chad Smith Show next week on Drum Channel, and all the other amazing things you're up to. Thank you so much on behalf of all of the drumming community.
My pleasure. Thank you, David. And everybody be safe out there. You know, do your thing. But like, I know everyone's cooped up and it's so hard, but you know, think about the other person and loved ones and people in the hospitals and older people that can get sick, and just, you know, just do the right thing. Be cool. Have fun. Stay home. Play the drums. What a better way to, like, I can't go anywhere. If you got some drums, play them, right?
Absolutely. No, it's true. And look, for all the craziness that the world's going through right now, you know, there's always ways to just make the best use of the precious time we have on this planet. And taking the advice that you've given us today, Chad, on some of those ways to get drumming, and you don't need much. You just need the interest and the motivation, really, and everything else coupled with what we've talked about today will get you really far down the drum road.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
That's it.
So thank you to Don Lombardi, and
Don. Thanks, Don.
And Jenny and Scott and everybody at DW PDP Drum Channel, and of course Modern Drummer. Please, everybody, go up, support Modern Drummer, moderndrummer.com/subscribe. And when the October 2020 issue lands, it'll be in your mailbox and online just for all of you with Chad Smith on the cover. And thank you. Be safe, and good luck with your drumming endeavors and all else.
Thanks.